Our lesson today is a continuation of the diseases and afflictions found in the Old Testament. We're studying the general subject of divine healing and divine health according to the Bible. There are over 50 cases of sickness and disease in the Old Testament. Many of them were plagues upon Israel in the wilderness because of the misuse of the tongue and various other sins. The last one we mentioned was the disease of Asa, found in the 15th chapter of 1 Kings and 2 Chronicles 16. The cause of this disease is unknown, but the remedy is plainly stated. He sought not to the Lord, but to the physicians, and the result was Asa slept with his fathers. The idea was that he trusted man instead of God, and God was very jealous of his people in those days and demanded wholehearted faith and consecration and trust in him. So he slept with his fathers because of not trusting in God Almighty. Then we have the sickness and death of the widow's son found in 1 Kings 17. The cause is unknown, why this boy was sick, but the remedy used was the prayer of Elijah, and the result was resurrection from the dead and healing of the body. Now here is one case of resurrection from the dead by a prophet of old, as well as restoring the boy to health at the time of the resurrection. Then we have Ahaziah's disease found in the 2 Kings, the 1st chapter. And here's another king that did not trust in God. He fell from an upper story and was diseased in his body, and he trusted to Beelzebub, the god of Ekron. In other words, he sent ambassadors to Beelzebub or down to the Ekronites to inquire of Beelzebub whether he would recover of the disease or not. Instead of going to the true prophet of God in Israel, we read that's what he did. And God was angry because of this, and he sent Elijah the prophet to meet those messengers of the king. And he told them in no uncertain terms, is there not a God in Israel that you can trust in, and you have to go to a heathen god? And so God was angry and permitted the king to die because of his sin. Then we have the barrenness of the Shunammite woman in 2 Kings 4. The cause of this is unknown. The remedy used was faith and prayer. The result was healing and fruitfulness. Then we have another sickness and death of another person. This was a Shunammite son. This Shunammite was given a son in answer to the prayer of Elisha. And the child got to be quite a young man. And then he had a sunstroke and actually died. And she went to the man of God and threw herself down at his feet and begged for mercy. And the man of God went, and through prayer and faith and the power of God that was in Elisha's body, resurrection and healing of the young man took place. Then we have Naaman's leprosy mentioned in 2 Kings 5. Naaman, captain of the hosts of Syria. The cause of this is unknown. He was a leper, though, for a long, long time. The remedy used was trust in God and obedience to God. He came to Elisha and inquired what he should do, offered him money for reward, but Elisha told him to keep his money. And he told him the one thing that he could do to be healed. He said, go and dip 7 times in the river Jordan. And the 7th time it happened, he was cleansed and made as clean as a baby. Then we have Gehazi's leprosy. This is a servant of Elisha. Because of greed and lying and disobedience to the man of God, and because of wanting some of this reward that Naaman offered Elisha, we read that the prophet Elisha said, the leprosy of Naaman cleave unto you until you die, and so it happened. There was no healing in this case. Blindness and experience of the Assyrian army is the next case we have recorded in the Bible, 2 Kings 6. This was the time when a whole Syrian army came to get Elisha, who was shut up in Dothan, or rather visiting in Dothan. The whole army came and surrounded the city to get the prophet. And he said, Lord, you open the young man's eyes, that is, the eyes of his servant, that he may see who is on our side. The young man had reported that the whole army was there to get him. So the Lord opened the young man's eyes, and he saw chariots of fire and horsemen all over the mountains round about Elisha. And what Elisha did was to go down to the gate and smite those men with blindness, and he led them captive and turned them over to the king of Israel in Samaria. And so the bands of Syria did not come into Israel for a long time. Now there we have a definite case of blindness caused by the prayer of Elisha. Elisha smote them with blindness, and then through the prayer of Elisha again, they were healed, completely healed in a moment of time. And there's the sickness of Ben-Hadad. The cause is unknown. The remedy used is unknown. But the statement in the prophecy in 2 Kings 8:10-15 was that he might have recovered if he had not murdered and committed such a horrible sin before the sickness that he had. Then we have the sickness of Jehoram in 2 Kings 9:14-29. The cause of this is unknown. The remedy, unknown. The result was that he recovered, but was slain by Jehu. He recovered of his disease. And we have the sickness of Elisha as the next case of sickness in the Bible. The cause of this is unknown, but could have been because of old age, because he was nearly 100 years of age by that time. And that's getting way up there, to not have some physical trouble because of old age. The remedy used, unknown. But we do know the result of this sickness. It took the death of Elisha. So it may be that he simply died of old age in 2 Kings 13:14-20. Then the death of an Israelite is the next case recorded in the Bible. The cause in his case is unknown. And the remedy used is the most peculiar one we've mentioned so far. When his body touched the bones of Elisha, he was resurrected from the dead and made instantly well. You read that in 2 Kings now, the 13th chapter, verse 21. Then we have Uzziah's leprosy. Uzziah was one of the kings of Judah. Through pride and usurping the kings, or rather the priesthood, he was smitten with leprosy. And there was no healing for him until the day of his death because of the judgment of God upon him for his sin. Then we have the sickness of Hezekiah recorded in 2 Kings 20 and Isaiah 38. The cause in this case was pride and unthankfulness to God, as recorded in 2 Chronicles 32:25-31. The remedy used, prayer and humiliation. The result was that God added to his life 15 years. Read Isaiah 39:5. Then we have Jehoram's bowel trouble, caused many sins, listed in 2 Chronicles 21:6-7 and 10:13 and 2 Kings 8:18. The remedy, none was used, as far as we know. The result of any, if used, was that the man died. So the bowel trouble was not healed. Then we have another plague on Israel mentioned in 2 Chronicles, the 21st chapter, verses 11-15. The cause was because of sin. The remedy, we do not have any definite remedy stated in this case. The result was that many died in the nation of Israel before the plague was stayed. Then we have all kinds of sicknesses in Israel, different kinds. The cause was the breaking of the law and eating of the Passover unworthily in 2 Chronicles 30, verse 18. The remedy used was prayer and confession of sin, and the result was perfect healing in answer to prayer and confession of faith. Then we have another interesting case of sickness in the Bible, and that's the case of Job. Job's boils or carbuncles or whatever it was. The cause in this case was Satan, definitely an attack of Satan. For in the first chapter of Job, verses 6-22, and the second chapter, verses 1-10, we have the fact that Job was attacked by the very devil himself. Satan came to present himself before the Lord, and the other angels came to present themselves before the Lord. And God called Satan's attention to Job, and finally the result was that God permitted Satan to afflict Job. He was afflicted for many months. Satan smote Job with sore boils from the top of his head to the sole of his feet. And after much searching of his heart, and after humiliation and prayer, he was healed and his prosperity restored to him again, as recorded in the last book, or the last chapter of the book of Job, referred to also in James 5:11. Then we have David's venereal disease recorded in the 38th chapter of the book of Psalms. The remedy used, prayer and confession of sin, and the result was that he was healed. According to the 6th chapter of Psalms, the 2nd verse, the 30th chapter, the 2nd verse, and Psalm 103:3, where David said, who healeth all thine iniquities, or forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases. Then we have a famine in Israel, and the sickness and death of Ezekiel's wife, and the sickness of Daniel. All those now complete the 51 cases of sickness in the Old Testament.